actually eyeballs will follow good content. And we've learned this in our journey. People without the right processes, you waste a lot of them.
Recently, you guys had a major goal achieved, like the liquidity event, £30 million for a 51% stake they invested.
The source of information is correct. I think that was
good.
Yeah.
No fake news on Coffee for Scalers.
No fake news on Coffee for Scalers. We've got the business to this position. You know, we're profitable. We've got a real clear plan and vision for the future, and we want a level of autonomy to continue doing what we're doing. You want to work with nice people.
It was a small business, and you grew with it.
It was always just knowing what I don't know and being okay with not knowing everything, and actually just actively chasing knowledge. I think it's just being confident in backing yourself.
Melissa Chapman, welcome to Coffee for Scalers. I'm absolutely delighted to have you on the podcast. I had the pleasure of getting to know Melissa over the last few years. Initially, I think I heard of you at Lad Bible, this person, secret weapon, growing the business. What?
You'd heard things.
Yeah, and then at Jungle Creations, I got to know you really well, and amazing what you've done there in the business. And I'm delighted to be talking to you today, and for the audience to get to know you and the amazing work you guys have done in Jungle Creations, and amazing as well on the recent liquidity event, which we'll talk about later. Congratulations, Melissa Chapman, the co-CEO of Jungle Creations. Delighted to have you. Thank you, Melissa, for coming on board
today. For having me, Dennis. I've actually got a coffee. You've called this Coffee for Scalers.
I have a cold end of coffee.
No.
Yeah, I know. I was in between meetings today. Yeah, good that you have your coffee, because you have scaled the business. But how's life been, Melissa, for you recently?
No, yeah, it's good. I mean, you mentioned up top, obviously the big announcement recently for us in terms of the liquidity event and partnering with Living Bridge moving forward. There's a lot of work that went into that beforehand. So I think initially it's been a sense of kind of relief after, you're working towards something big. So I took a week off, which was quite nice. And actually just really nice to get back to the day job. And get back under the hood of things. And we're really excited about everything moving forward. So I feel really energized. I feel kind of rejuvenated, excited about what happened, and super energized for the next run.
That's cool. Took stock a little bit, now ready for the next sprint. Yeah, good. And
two glasses of wine.
Good. And things are a bit opened up now. But then I wanted to ask you, because this is also entertaining, this podcast, what's the funniest thing that's ever happened to you in a work environment? I know you guys at Jungle have had good times over there.
We've had good times, yeah. Although you've said this podcast is entertaining, so now the pressure's on to make sure that this is funny. It's actually fun.
What story?
There's lots of things that I probably won't share. One that is funny that I do kind of often look back to with a bit of a laugh. We had a Halloween fancy dress day at the office. So we were about 100, 110 people then. This is pre-COVID. Everyone's in the office. And everybody kind of had to dress up as whatever Halloween character they chose. And two people from the business, one who works in our comms team, and actually the PA to Jamie at the time, came dressed as me. And that they came with wigs with a fringe on it. They came wearing a black cardigan, which was my very, stuck in old look. Yeah. They came with a bottle
of kind of Mark Zuckerberg cardigan every day.
That's it, the cardigans. They came with a bottle of Prosecco in one hand and a Diet Coke in the other. Ballet pumps, everybody thought it was absolutely hilarious. I don't know why it was Halloween or what that means, but that was a good one. I'll share a picture with you after, Dennis. Maybe we can do some.
That is good. Yeah, maybe it can be the thumbnail.
We'll do some kind of editing work where it flies in and you'll be like, which one's Mel?
Yeah. Let's definitely do that. Cool. Good story to start. Okay. So back to scaling business and online video, two things I'm really passionate about. Yeah. Can you explain a little bit to the audience, about Jungle Creations and how it was founded? Would be great to start for anyone who doesn't know. Yeah,
no, sure. I guess if I kind of start by describing us today, and then I'll go back through how we got there. So essentially, we see ourselves as the modern media business built for a social age. The world has changed dramatically, and the way people are kind of consuming their content, communicating with their friends, connecting with family now, a lot of that is happening across social platforms. And there's a stat out of the US where now more hours watched of content on social than they are on television, which is over 3 hours a day. So phenomenal. It's changing the way that we order clothes, the way that we vote, and so on. And we started very early on these social platforms where people are less sure about kind of how scalable a business would be on a Facebook or so on. But we really stuck to our guns and saw that being the direction of travel for, the way people would communicate with each other. So a modern media business built for a social age. And ultimately our core competency is we build brands and we build communities in, specific niche passion points. Twisted in food and drink, BT in news and entertainment, Level Fitness in fitness, and so on. And our number one focus is building those audiences of, really authentic, hyper engaged audiences. And then from that point, it's looking at, okay, how can we monetize this audience? Doesn't sound very glamorous, but how ultimately we're all going to make money. And we do that by using our skills of building our own brands to help brands via branded content or via our agency business and so on. But that all kind of leads to the fact that we kind of have 4 businesses in one. So we have our publishing business, which is our media brands and our, the original content that we're putting out across platforms. We have our branded content business, which is where, we want to create custom content for brands that will sit on our media brands and go out to our audience. We have our agency business, which is The Wild, which ultimately is kind of disconnected from our media brands, but we lift all of the insights and expertise we have in-house from building these brands to service clients in their own brands, in their own environments. And then finally, commerce, which is a really fun part of the business that's evolved a lot over the last kind of 5 to 6 years and has had different faces. But ultimately, the core kind of intention we're trying to do with commerce is to reach our audience and offer them value in the real world beyond just online. So it's all about connecting to people in the real world and online.
Yeah, that's cool. 4 different kind of competencies, so you're not a one-trick pony.
We're not. It's all about diversification these days. It's very important. But so how did it start? It's that very kind of romantic founder story. Jamie in his mum's bedroom whilst at university with this vision for wanting to build huge audiences online to actually drive them to Manchester club nights.
That was it. I didn't know that.
He wanted to get people to his club night, and at the time there's a lot of activity on Facebook, and he found it more effective than flyering or going around to Dom and trying to encourage students along. But suddenly he had hundreds of thousands of people, probably about 0.1% of them were actually based in Manchester, interested to go to student night outs, and he realized actually my value here isn't the student night out that I'm running, it's this audience that I've built and garnered online. And that kind of kick-started what became Viral Thread, then now VT, and it was about we scaled the audience to 1 million followers, and the way that we were monetizing then is we were creating fun, relatable articles about what it's like to be a student generally, driving people to websites and then monetizing them there. And as the evolution of social platforms came along and the integration of video, that core audience then allowed us to build a number of other audiences to where we are today. So I think we're at about 125 million followers now, cross-platform, in our 7 media brands that sit in those verticals. But that was kind of how it started. And then basically, when we were only making money from sending people to our websites back in the day, and we needed. And
Melissa, were you there from the start?
I was there. Yeah, I joined initially in 2015 as kind of the second employee. I took a small break. And then I came back again in 2016. But very early days when we were kind of just kicking around with 3 of us in a room playing FIFA between making videos.
I remember there was a table tennis table in the early days.
Exactly. We've come a long way. So we thought we need another way to make money here because there's so much value to these audiences we're building. And right now we're just not seeing that from the platforms because they didn't have it built in at the time. So we started looking at working with people on branded content, and some of our first deals were with the likes of Oreo, Yo Sushi, Happen, the dating app, and that all was kind of where the branded content line came in. We just felt there's more value here, so we found it, and then commerce came because we'd actually just started. My job at the time, I think I was head of content at 3 or 4 years ago, was to go viral and create good content and get loads of eyeballs and growing audience and so on and so forth. And we kind of tapped into what was a bit of a gold mine at the time that then became a trend, and everybody else started doing it as well, which was finding really weird, quirky gadgets on the internet, reaching out to the Kickstarter and saying, hey, send us a free one of your product and we'll make you a video for it. So we'd make these 1-minute videos about, okay, this handbag is actually a wine handbag and you can put a secret wine sachet in it, and while you're at work. And these videos were getting 100 million views plus.
Wow.
And these were kind of white label products that really we were making a lot of money for other people. So we kind of said to ourselves, well, we could probably do this for ourselves, right? And that was how commerce was born, again, quite organically, just by the opportunity that was presented to us by having the access to the good content and the large audiences.
Because you were doing it for other people through the branded content before.
Yeah, exactly. And when we were doing it for some of these Kickstarter companies, they were selling out. They were getting ridiculous amounts of funding. And while it was amazing to see that and to see the power of video and social video, you kind of do also want your own slice of the pie. So that was where the commerce piece was born. And then the final one was the agency business, The Wild. And that really stems from, yes, we had these media brands and we had the teams working on them. We were doing branded content and commerce, but the amount of data and insights that sat in our business from talking to, we were getting billions of views every single year, and we kind of overlaid, do a lot of meta tagging and so on to kind of understand there's the result, but what's the input that's leading to certain patterns and trends and results. And we built our own technology called Discover IQ, which kind of helps map all of this. And all of these insights were great and we could use them for our own creative decision, but we felt like we were underusing them because we could be taking them out to market and supporting brands in their own right, in their own kind of social strategy and social content creation and social media management. So we brought in Dylan from Adam and Eve, old school creative thinking, kind of with our new world, creative agility, adding that kind of rigor to the agency we were trying to build.
Sounds impressive. This guy, Adam.
All right. You can tell I've been selling for a year and a half.
Yeah. It's always the job of the CEO.
Yeah. And the agency was born, and it's the fastest growing part of our business. It's doing phenomenally well, over 100% year-on-year growth. And really excited. So that's kind of taking us to where we are today with those 4 revenue streams. And we feel that now it's about focus. We've defined the business model, and that's kind of been an organic piece over the last 6-7 years. The strategy is there. We've got really clear view of where we can take these 4 different parts of the business together and independently of each other. And the scale we think we have ahead is phenomenal and far beyond the scale that we've already reached today. So we feel like we're just at the start, really.
Congrats. And just at that scale, you mentioned 120 million followers. That is awesome. In terms of like how many employees, and if you can talk about the revenues you guys do as well, it'd be good for people to understand like what scale you're at. Yeah,
sure. So our revenues for last year, these are in the public domain, so I'm not going to get taken off by the comms team. We did £19.5 million in revenue last year, and around 2.5 of EBITDA. And our employee base at that point, I think, was about 110 employees. This year, we're set to do £30 million in revenue and 5.5 in EBITDA. And at the moment, we can't hire quick enough.
Well, that's great.
The industry is throwing great guns, but we should be around 150 people by the end of this year.
Yeah, because you're trying to grow 50% year on year, 19 to 30. Yeah. Cool. All right. Yeah, it's great for people to understand the scale you're at, and congratulations. Those numbers are amazing. One question I wanted to ask you, because I think knowing you and like the way you've risen, like it was a small business and you grew with it, and like from my experience, like not everyone's able to do that or get into the senior positions per se. Like, how have you found that journey, and like any advice to people as well who are thinking about that, like the different stages of a company and how you should change yourself?
Well, never change yourself. That's my number one. I think stay true, stay authentic to yourself always. I feel really fortunate that I've been able to grow with the business, and it is quite rare. There are actually a number of people at Jungle who have been with us from very early and have grown into, you know, really senior positions in the business, which is kind of has been a really great environment to be a part of. I think to be part of a business that wants to grow from within as a first and foremost, and that will always be where you first look. Obviously, that's not always possible, and especially when you're a business scaling at the pace that we are, and sometimes you do need to fast track things by bringing in experience from outside. But for me, I think when I look back, it was always just knowing what I don't know and being okay with not knowing everything, not making it a defensive thing, and actually just actively chasing knowledge. I never, you know, when I look back, originally I was brought in as a writer, and I never thought, when Jamie would say, hey, can we do some videos? I never thought, well, that's not my remit. I thought, brilliant, I'm now going to learn how to do video. And I think it was that kind of positive attitude of always being happy to kind of seize the opportunity and step into stuff that's not your remit, because if you only ever do what's in your remit, how do you ever grow? So I've always been really kind of up for that, and things like, you know, budgeting, forecasting, running a P&L, building the P&L. I didn't know how. I'd never done that before I came to Jungle, and now it's, you know, I find it super easy, and that was just, and I won't be ashamed to say a lot of that. I looked on Google. I said, okay, this will work. And then obviously now we've got the CFO, and you have people around you to teach you stuff as well. But I think it's just being confident in backing yourself, happy to accept what you don't know and jump into learning a bit with 2 feet, and also go at it somewhat, you know, aggressively, and don't kind of shy away from conversations, and I think that comes from backing yourself and being confident.
Cool, that's great. I think on the confidence piece, like, it's okay not to know, but you have to be confident enough to be able to say that to people in a business as well, where the culture kind of needs to be right. Is something huge.
I remember, I think I was in one of our senior leadership team meetings maybe a few years ago, and we'd just hired our new CFO. He was new then, he's not new now. Furniture. And he came into the meeting and he was talking about EBITDA. And everyone was like, and I was just like, EBIT what? And I'm not afraid to say that. And as you say, it's good to be in an environment where you feel like you can say that and nobody's going to judge you. And Jungle, for me, of my experience, has always been an environment very much, you know, no question is a stupid question.
And I feel like if you're hiding things you don't know as well, it's at your own detriment, the individual, because you don't know what's going on.
Exactly. Cool. Someone will ask me to do a speech on EBITDA, I'll be like, right, he is
I was actually, there was someone I was in touch with yesterday who I worked with at Google, and I was introducing him to someone at Tubular anyway. And I remember one time the guy said to me in Google one time, I said to him, and he said, "That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard." I was just like, but I was confident in myself at the time, so I was like, no, that's okay. But like, it's funny how I guess culture, and like having a good culture where people are okay to be open and expose and stuff, versus having a culture where things are shot down quite quickly and stuff. But to your other point, like trying things or trying new things. So it sounds like you guys have a great culture. Cool.
Oh, it's easy for me to say that. Ask the rest of them, but I like it.
Good. And then the one thing I was going to ask you is I was going to say, actually, like, now you're the co-CEO with Nat. Like, how does it work to be a co-CEO?
That's a really good question, and it's one that I didn't know what it was going to be like going into it. Although, you know, I've worked very closely with Nat now for a number of years, and you know, we formally kind of took the role this January at the start of the year, but you know, there was all of 2020 where we were kind of effectively, you know, doing that role alongside Jamie, and really getting a feel for kind of where the land lies, which I think was really beneficial for the business. We needed to know that it worked for the business before we stepped into it officially, but also that it worked for us as individuals. And I think that kind of year build up really helped kind of solidify it. And ultimately, Nat and I are completely different people. And our way of kind of problem solving, or you know, the way my immediate reaction and Nat's immediate reaction or immediate assumption will be quite different. And I find that really useful for challenging your own status quo and kind of questioning your autopilot, which I think as a leader of a business, it's important to do when you're moving at 1,000,000 miles per hour, not to just always go with your gut, to think about it rationally and logically. And that really helps me do that, and hopefully vice versa. And I guess beyond that, we spoke up top about Jungle's business, and it's kind of 4 businesses in one.
Yeah.
So in that regard, that there's plenty for both of us to be doing without feeling like we're kind of crossing each other's T's and dotting each other's I's and sitting on each other's feet. So I think we're a really great team. I really, really enjoy working with him. And I think, I also, this is personal to me, but I remember being at school and I was never much into individual sports. Like, I love a team sport. The kind of energy I get from wanting to win with my team motivates me way further than kind of winning for myself. So I do think kind of being at the top on your own, for me, my motivation might look slightly different, but doing it with Nat, when we've got good news, it's so exciting to be able to, pick up the phone and say, mate, we've done it, or this is over the line. And I love that. So I'm really enjoying being a co-CEO. I think you could probably, when we were talking to various kind of potential acquirers and so on, I think some were more with it than others. Yeah. But ultimately, kind of the proof of the pudding is in the results. And hopefully, as you were saying, the growth that we're looking at this year, the growth that we were able to drive last year, shows that it's a model that's working.
Yeah. Oh, that's fascinating. Sounds like you guys have a great relationship. How many times a day do you usually talk to Nat? Just out of interest.
It depends on the day, to be fair.
Yeah. Not every day though, or every day you chat?
Most days we will chat. Yeah, most days we will chat. But probably not every day. Not every day.
Yeah. Okay.
And sometimes 6 or 7 times a day. But yeah.
And does it, I guess the question that people are asking you guys as well is like, if you need to make a hard decision and like sometimes one person makes that decision, feeds in information, have you guys had any instances where it's like, or do you have a process when there's like a really hard decision to make?
So we're a part of a broader executive team, right? So we have our co-fo, James, he's our chief operating and financial officer. We've got Dylan, who runs the Wild. We've got Wiggly, who's our chief commercial officer. So there's always a collectiveness to decision making. But ultimately, Nat and I have had this conversation. We work very closely with James in that chief operating financial officer position, which creates a dynamic of free. And I guess where there's free, you can always find a majority. We actually haven't yet had an instance
needed it.
Because generally, I think if your destination is the same, we share the same goals, we share the same ambitions. Sometimes you might disagree on the right way to get there, but ultimately, whether we agree on the right way to get there, we still want to get to the same place. So this doesn't have to be difficult. This doesn't have to be a butting of heads. So yet to test it in practice, but I think the collective wider team would always help kind of push those decisions over the line without it being a bit of a battle.
Yeah, that's cool. And and recently you guys had a major goal achieved, like the liquidity event with Living Bridge. I think I read that it was £30 million for a 51% stake that they invested. Congratulations to you and the team. What's that been like?
Thank you. Your source of information is correct. I think that was
good.
Yeah.
No fake news on Coffee for Scalers.
No fake news on Coffee for Scalers. It was great. We were obviously with COVID and the pandemic, trying to run a process like that with the team at Deloitte. So we worked with Deloitte on this, who were fantastic. Trying to run it through a pandemic, doing Zoom management presentations. I think trying to get people's attention in a room is probably a bit easier than trying to do that to 12 people on a video call. So it presented its own challenges. But personally, I just felt I learned so much from the process. And wherever we got to at the end and the result of it, I felt really enriched by the whole experience, which was amazing. To get it over the line and announce it recently, probably, one of the best feelings in my career /life, don't tell my wife, to date. And you know, for us, the little things that made it, you know, all the sweeter was, you know, many years ago, Jamie, our founder, he set up the EMI option scheme, which meant, you know, over 100 employees within our business stood to benefit from kind of this milestone in the business's journey. So yeah, it was a great kind of being able to announce it to them as well, and you know, see the excitement of knowing that for many people, you know, this is a really significant kickstart to one of their ambitions in life, or getting on the property ladder and so on. So yeah, it was phenomenal, and it felt like a collective exciting moment, a real celebration. And now we go again.
Oh, good. Yeah, good. Well, congrats. And with that process, yeah, I can only imagine like how much work it is, that process as well. But like in terms of when you guys were looking at potential people to partner with, was there any kind of non-negotiables or like things that you needed to have in a partner through that process?
Yeah. This was always a question that was asked at the end of every first introduction meeting. It's like, okay, what are you looking for?
After the first meeting.
After the first meeting, everybody asked the same question eventually, which was like, what are you looking for? And
good question by me.
It made us really think about, what are we looking for?
Yeah.
And I think there were two core ones, and these are going to sound probably a bit wet, but one, it was, you know, we've got the business to this position, you know, we're profitable, we've got a real clear plan and vision for the future, and we feel like we're a leadership team, we know what we're doing, and we want a level of autonomy to continue doing what we're doing. We don't want just barriers or hurdles, because this is a space that's moving really, really quickly,
so fast.
And we need to be able to move with it. So finding a partner that you really felt we had that trust and had that backing, that we could kind of do what we do best was important. And secondly to that, and I wouldn't say any less important, is just you want to work with nice people. And you want to enjoy you want to get on with them ultimately. And I, you know, Nat talks about this a lot, and, you know, we're firm believers that you should be able to do business and be successful in business whilst continuing to be a nice person. So yeah, that was the fact that we kind of clicked and gelled on an individual level was really important as well. We spend a lot of time working. To kind of have good energy with the people that you're working with.
Yeah, exactly. I think that as well. Like with work, we all work a long time. Like you might as well enjoy it or have some fun or something. It'd be horrible not to have that.
I feel like you've had a long week, Dennis. Feel like we work a long time.
I'm just thinking of more like my career versus this week.
When does it end?
Yeah. No, all good. I can't. Today is Friday.
It is.
So one question I wanted to ask you, and when I was thinking about this, is thinking about the publishing industry, even though your business is much more about publishing, but like the publishing industry in the UK was a very male orientated work environment, like the Murdochs and everyone else. Like, it is so good to see you at the top of Jungle Creations with Nat. And I think a lot of women in this field will be interested to hear about what's that like, and like being at the top as a female leader, and what it's like from your point of view.
No, for sure. I think I can talk to my own personal experience, which is obviously going to be unique to me, and then a bit of, I guess, broader about this space. And I definitely feel like you're right, and old school publishing is probably different to kind of this new age media, and I feel like there's a real kind of shift there. But ultimately, we do still work in an industry that is male dominated, I think, when you get to senior levels. But within Jungle itself, I've never felt, when working with male peers or male colleagues, I've never felt that, you know, in the boardroom or in the management meeting rooms, that I have to frame my voice differently or shout louder to be heard. And I think we probably benefit from, we have a young business. And over time, kind of younger male execs have been surrounded by an environment that's kind of, I guess, much more inclusive, much more forward thinking, and kind of gender stereotypes and so on are rightly being diminished through time. So I've never felt kind of, I guess, uncomfortable with a Jungle specific thing. I guess when you go external, there are things that you have to acknowledge, like, you know, golf days, they still exist. And I'm not getting invited on any golf days, which is good, because I can't play golf to save my life. Caddying, which will just look worse for everyone. And I think sometimes as well, and this is probably just a natural thing, but hopefully also shifting over time. Sometimes you get the sense that men are maybe slightly more comfortable talking to other men. You know, if you want to pick up the phone and have a quick conversation, it's easier with someone that you feel talks the same language as you, or you're not having to kind of curb your tone or whatever they feel that they might need to do. It probably comes from a point of like over worrying about it. It's not something I've experienced massively, but every now and again you do get that sense. But what I would say is, when I look around the media industry and all of the people and leaders that, you know, I'm thinking, wow, you're, you know, shit hot. Can I swear on the Scalers podcast?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
This will have an explicit thing on Spotify. Or you're really inspirational, or kind of, you know, a real forward thinker. A lot of these people are women, you know. So even if men are kind of dominating the bums on seats, I don't think they're dominating the conversation, and I don't think they're dominating the direction of travel for this industry in this space, because, you know, where I work at Jungle, I'm surrounded by phenomenal women. And when I look out to the industry, you know, look at Future and so on, you know, phenomenal women are kind of driving this space forward. So it's the tides are really changing. And I think what makes me even more excited is kind of, as we're now employing younger generations, which feels, I've actually got grey hairs now. I don't know when this happened, Dennis. I used to be young. I don't know what happened. But now when we're employing the younger generations, you really feel like they're within the younger generations, kind of the conversations around identity, around gender, you know, around belonging and inclusion, the fluidity of it. It's so exciting that we're going to kind of, it's not only a benefit to individuals to kind of be their authentic selves, but I think it benefits society and businesses, because ultimately in a publishing business, you're talking to your audience, which is society, and you need to be reflective of that. And to be reflective of that, you need to represent that internally as well, and in the content that you create. So I'm really excited about where it's going. I'm surrounded by many amazing men and women at Jungle. I've never felt kind of anything overt, but of course you do get the sense of, you know, the remnant of the good old days, of the golf days and stuff.
Golf is great. I've actually never gone golfing for work. I'm crap at golf anyway, but it is funny. I like working in the US market a bit more. They're still doing golf days quite a bit out there. Like pandemic.
I mean, I just say, let's bring in the spa days. Let's do let's do vineyards. You know, we all let's do vineyard tours. It doesn't have to be golf, but
maybe that's an action you should take off the back of this, to set up a spa or vineyard day.
Vineyard tours. At the same time, I could also just learn to play golf, because I don't think it's male exclusive. But
no, it's not.
You know.
But one thing that, as you were saying all that, and I think that's great for people to hear. Hopefully there's a lot of women listening to this podcast, and everyone. But I think what I've seen is, it's so important for people to see people like in Tubular, where I worked a long time. Alison Stern, who was one of the co-founders, was right there at the leadership team, and it was so important for women in the business to see that as well. And I think just having more people, more women at the top positions is just brilliant within organizations. And that's how you kind of drive this more and more to where it should be for the right levels of diversity.
That's it. And also Alison's a great example of someone, I guess it was great that she did that within Tubular, but I think she did that industry wide in the space, you know, those women exactly that I look to and think phenomenal, you know, a real kind of game changer. So there's loads of us out there.
Yeah, exactly. So okay, so switching gears. So okay, well, actually, just on the scaling piece, and then I'll switch to online video. But with scaling, people talk about like people, process, and technology being really important with scaling businesses. Is there any one of those that you found more important, or all three of them important, or your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, to say all three of them would be my cop-out answer, because naturally they are important. But I think for Jungle specifically, people is fundamentally always going to be the most important part of our business. You know, we're a business that builds ideas, creativity, you know, content, and so on. So people and their own ambition. You know, technology, you can build a technology to help you scale things, but it can't come up with necessarily your new ideas or your ambition or whatever else. It can't motivate people. So people are always the most important thing for us. But and we've learned this in our journey. People without the right processes, you waste a lot of them, and you don't get the best out of them. So processes is important for kind of harnessing the talent within people. And then technology, that's, with Discover IQ and our data and insights and so on, technology is definitely a big part of us, our success. But if anything, it's just unlocking scale. So all three need to work in partnership with each other. But I would, if you put a gun to my head, Dennis, I'd say people every time.
Yeah, great answer about all three of them. Cool. Okay. And then, an online video, which we're both passionate about. What are you currently most excited about the online video space? Yeah.
This is a good question. Dare I say the metaverse? Should I say the metaverse?
The metaverse. Was Zuckerberg the first person? He wasn't the first person to come up with that, but wow, he's gone big with it.
We're talking about it quite a lot internally at the moment. Actually, it's really interesting. I've also been kind of looking at NFTs and the crypto. You get lost in there, but no. I definitely think that the metaverse will have an increasing part to play in social video. But for social video more specifically, I think what I'm really excited about at the moment is, I guess, the changing tide in platforms, and platforms are evolving their monetization offering for publishers quite significantly. And it feels like maybe 5 or 6 years ago, many publishers in our position might find it quite hard to get some of these platforms on the phone. And, you're like, one of your biggest providers of views, we're putting out, endless streams of quality content on your platform, and I can't even get a phone call. Which, and now I can't tell you how drastically different it is.
You're trying to get rid of them. They're trying to get.
No, God, leave us alone. No. But that it feels like a real collaborative environment, that they get a sense of understanding that publishers and content creators, be that individuals and businesses, are core to their growth and their experience. I do think there's a lot of credit due to TikTok to kind of coming out of nowhere and winning with just content, and showing all other platforms that actually eyeballs will follow good content. You need to make sure you're, creating an environment where that's going to stay on your platform. And, you've got Facebook introducing stars, you've got, Shopify integration into TikTok, and all of this other stuff that's going on in the space. And I think for us, from our audience, it was always about kind of how can we monetize them, and maybe our options at one point were 1, 2, 3, and now it feels like your options are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, almost endless, and it's more about focusing on what to do when and how to prioritize. But that's really exciting. And then the other thing that I'd add is the viewership habits and user habits on social as well. So when I started working on social in 2015, you'd be hard pressed to get people to really stick around for a video longer than 10 seconds. The attention spans of kind of content consumption were very, very short. And I think as a natural kind of consequence of everybody increasing the length of their videos and platforms, algorithms favoring longer content and longer watch times, people have become used to kind of spending more time watching in these environments, which means, you're getting massive completion rates on really long pieces of content. And not only does that help us monetize more effectively, but that means we can also create, programming that, we're even more proud of. We can invest more into that content, and we can make, the blend between kind of TV quality production and social quality production is shifting ever closer together. I think as the investment improves and as, I guess, viewership habits change. So that's really, really exciting.
That's cool. Cool. All right, metaverse. You heard it here first. I'm joking. So on the platforms, what would be not like revenue, just importance, and it's not all revenue, right? How would you rate the top 3 platforms for your business?
Dennis, you're trying to make me fall out with people here, aren't you?
How can we put it a different way? I don't know. Try and answer that question. Or what platform are you most excited about right now? Maybe.
I think all of the platforms offer something different. And when we're thinking about our content strategy or our business strategy, there's an independent one by platform. We feel that in Instagram, you get a really good opportunity to really, foster your community and your value exchange with your audience directly, and kind of the interactivity of that platform, which always is great. Whereas on YouTube, you know, you've got your longer form, longer watch time, all of that stuff that I was just referring to, and that kind of environment there. And albeit it's always a little bit harder to get those kind of scaled views on YouTube.
Yeah.
You read through the comments, you can tell that this is an audience that's really loyal, that they're actually noticing what they're watching and giving you real feedback from it. And they, you know, it feels very intentional viewing, which is great. So it does differ for me. Like, I don't think it's any secret internally, at least. I love Snapchat. I think Snapchat is.
James Hancock would like you for that.
Snapchat is. It's a really exciting platform. I think it's talking to audiences that perhaps are less on some of the other platforms. I think what they're doing with technology is really, really innovative and exciting. And again, it's got this blend of kind of, in the Discover feed, you have to intentionally click in, so you know that if a viewer is watching you, they're not just landed on you, they're there on purpose, and so on. So we've been able to kind of build a really kind of hyper engaged, loyal audience on that platform. TikTok, again, it's just super exciting. We're kind of really doing we're trying new types of content on TikTok, and it does feel like TikTok is sitting at the epicenter of the internet at the moment. And if you see a trend or something that's happening elsewhere, you can probably bet 6 years ago it would have started on Reddit. Now it's starting on TikTok. So that's really exciting. And then I'm not going to not say Facebook, because Facebook is where we've built our business. Facebook is still a real core part of our business offering. And I actually think we're seeing a lot of growth in Facebook this year. You know, they had I think a change of direction that maybe was quite painful for many publishers, maybe for a year ago or so on. But I think if you the team were always very communicative, and we had an understanding of where they wanted to get to and what they wanted their content offering to look like, and we did that journey with them. And I think we're now standing to benefit from that. So
that's good to hear.
Top three: Snap, Facebook. TikTok. Oh no, because Instagram's owned by Facebook, so I'll say TikTok.
Okay. Snap number one. Wow, you heard it here first. And I'm delighted you actually did the top three in the end. I was like, oh, well answered. Oh, but you did the top three.
No, I don't ever shy
Snap, TikTok, Instagram in some top three format. Okay, cool. Yeah, Facebook as well. Yeah. Okay, I love all my kids. Yeah. Okay, equally. Okay, so last question I'm going to ask you then, because we're running out in time as well. I heard your calendar invite thing 10 to the hour.
Yeah, sorry.
No, all good.
That out, or we good?
So last question, a bit more reflective one. What are you most proud of in your career or personally or whatever? What are you most proud of? You answer that how you'd like.
Oh, that's a big one.
Yeah,
that's a big one to finish on. I think previously, I've definitely been asked this question before. Not that it's not original, Dennis. This is a great question.
People ask you that in interviews. Yeah, I changed job recently, so I know it. Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh God, I've not interviewed for a while. I should get practicing. No. I think previously it's been about, as we touched on at the beginning, Jungle being a business where I've seen people kind of come in straight from university, or even part of apprenticeship schemes where they didn't go to university. I think we're seeing more and more of that, which is amazing. And now seeing them kind of 5 years on, leading parts of our business and leading teams of people, and to kind of see their own growth and feel like I've had, albeit a small or sometimes more significant part to play in that individual's kind of growth, is amazing. Because you probably, as a leader, you see people's growth to an element and then they leave and go somewhere else, and you maybe connect to you keep an eye on that journey over LinkedIn, but to see it happen kind of under Jungle's roof is amazing. So that's always kind of what I've said in the past. But I think now with the completion of the, I guess, the majority sale, that probably pips it as what I'm most proud of for myself, because I'd never done a process like that before. Yeah. There was a hell of a lot of work and a hell of a lot of learning that went into it, and also trying to kind of balance internal time spent versus time spent on all of the various bits of diligence and everything else. And to also be able to connect that to having employees benefit from it, it's been amazing. So
that's good. Two good ones. Yeah, good. Yeah. All right. Well, Melissa, you are an absolute legend. I'm so
you're a legend,
that you came on the podcast. And I think, I was just thinking, like you're younger than me anyway, I'm going to be amazed to see your career over the next 20, 30 years.
Yeah,
And
you're going to be amazed to see the development of my greys. Look,
you will get more if you sell any more businesses, I'm sure. But I think make sure you keep in touch with me when I'm just it's someone lower down and you're like massive career in 20, 30 years time.
Never forget.
Never forget. Yeah.
No, been a pleasure, Dennis.
Yeah,
good luck with the new role. I'm sure you'll absolutely smash it.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Melissa.